Gather close, my audience, for I must tell you of a discovery that shook the very foundations of what we thought we knew about our ancestors. In the heart of the Sahara Desert, where the sun burns hot and secrets sleep beneath endless dunes, a young archaeologist named Mia led an expedition that would change everything. The excavation began like any other. Workers dug carefully, their shovels biting into ancient sand. But then the earth began to tremble, softly at first like a whisper beneath their feet, then violent, angry, as if something long dormant was stirring from its sleep. Without warning, a section of sand collapsed inward, swallowing tools and equipment. When the dust cleared, the workers stood frozen in shock. Before them rose a massive doorway carved from black stone they had never seen before. It was sealed with melted gold that gleamed like captured sunlight. Mia approached slowly, her heart pounding in her chest. She pulled out her compass to mark their position, but the needles spun wildly, refusing to settle. Her GPS device flickered and died. Around them, the desert fell silent. The birds that had circled overhead vanished. Even the wind stopped blowing. Something was terribly wrong. When Naya's hand brushed the ancient doorway, warmth radiated from the stone. It hummed beneath her fingertips, vibrating with an energy that made her skin tingle. Her assistant Omar rushed forward with his instruments, scanning the mysterious surface. His voice trembled as he read the results. "No known material on Earth matches this composition," he whispered, his eyes wide with disbelief. The team worked until sunset, documenting every symbol carved into the door, markings spiraling across them. Surface and patterns older than any language they had studied. As darkness fell and the moon rose over the dunes, something impossible happened. The door opened on its own. A rush of hot wind burst forth from the tomb's entrance, carrying the faint scent of jasmine mixed with ashes. Ancient torches mounted on the walls inside suddenly ignited, their flames dancing with amber light. Cameras flickered and died. Equipment sparked and went dark. Then came the scream. Ahmed, one of the young workers, pointed into the shadows with a shaking hand. "I saw eyes," he shouted, eyes opening in the darkness. The others laughed nervously, but later, when Omar reviewed the footage, his blood ran cold. In the corner of the frame, a shadow moved where no one had been standing. Morning came too quickly. Mia gathered her courage and led the team into the tomb's heart. The air inside pressed against their skin like invisible hands, thick and warm. The amber torchlight cast dancing shadows on walls covered in beautiful, haunted gardens. At the center of the main chamber stood a sarcophagus, unlike anything recorded in history books. It was carved from pure obsidian, veined with gold and searing pulse. With its own inner light, strange symbols spiraled across its surface. As Mia approached, the air began to hum. 6 strong men strained to pry open a massive stone lid. As it shifted, a deep chord resonated through the chamber. Like the earth itself was singing, dust swirled upward and the torches burned brighter. Inside lay a skeleton, perfectly preserved despite thousands of years in darkness. But this was no ordinary burial. The skeleton measured nearly 9 feet from head to toe. Gold rings adorned every finger, where eyes should have been. Brilliant jewels caught the torchlight and threw rainbow reflections across the walls. But what made Nia's hand shake wasn't the size or the treasure. The skull bore precise circular holes drilled in perfect symmetry across the bone. Omar knelt beside the sarcophagus, his scientific mind racing. Omar examined the skull with trembling hands, taking careful measurements. His whispered words sent chills through everyone present. "This isn't primitive trephination," he breathed. "These are surgical ports, laser accurate, the precision required. We couldn't achieve this even with modern equipment." Nia touched the skull gently. "How could they have known this 5,000 years ago?" She whispered. "We had basic tools, nothing more. This level of medical knowledge shouldn't exist for millennia." The workers muttered prayers in their native tongue. The village elders' warning echoed in their minds. They weren't just excavating a burial site. This was proof of something impossible, something that challenged everything humanity believed about itself. As they documented the giant skeleton, they moved deeper into the tomb. What they found next stole their breath away. The ceiling above them glowed with an otherworldly blue light, covered entirely in star maps. But these weren't simple drawings. These were detailed astronomical charts showing constellations and planetary alignments with stunning accuracy. Nia recognized familiar patterns, but there were others too. Star systems invisible to the naked eye, systems that modern astronomers had only discovered in the 20th century with powerful telescopes. One constellation appeared again and again, an eye symbol surrounded by 7 stars in a perfect circle. As Nia studied the mysterious eye constellation, a strange sensation crept across her palm. She looked down and gasped. The same symbol was appearing on her skin, glowing faintly with blue light. When she moved closer to the walls, it burned brighter. The team pushed forward into deeper chambers, and what they discovered made even the skeptics fall silent. Hundreds of stone tablets lined the walls like books in an ancient library, each one covered in intricate inscriptions and diagrams. These weren't religious prayers or simple stories. Nia's hands trembled as she translated advanced mathematical equations that matched modern calculus. There were geometric proofs and detailed mechanical designs that seemed impossible for their time. One tablet showed drawings of gliders with wings spread wide. Another depicted flying machines with notes about wind and lift. A third showed sky chariots with wheels that didn't touch the ground. The most haunting inscription was carved in bold letters. We bent metalist clock. We sailed the heavens. We fell by our own hand. Other tablets revealed maps, showing an empire stretching from the Nile River to the Cape of Good Hope, uniting all of ancient Africa. And then came the warnings, tablets describing a great shaking of the earth with fire from the sky. The final days of a lost civilization. At the heart of the chamber, resting on an altar of polished stone, lay a scroll that defied all explanation. It wasn't made of papyrus or animal skin. The material was soft yet seemingly indestructible, flexible but impossibly strong. When Nia touched it, the scroll felt warm, almost alive, pulsing gently beneath her fingers. With trembling hands, she carefully unrolled it. The ancient script was readable, and as she translated aloud, her voice cracked with emotion. We are the survivors. Our city sank beneath the waters when the earth shook and the sky burned. We were once millions, masters of metal and sky. Now we are few. We record this so those who come after will know. We were here. We were great. Do not repeat our mistakes. As the final words left her lips, the floor trembled beneath their feet. The amber torches flickered and dimmed. Every camera battery drained to zero in an instant. Omar's flashlight died. The temperature plummeted, and their breath became visible in the suddenly cold air. Then came a silence so deep it pressed against their eardrums. In that terrible quiet, they all felt it. The presence of something ancient, something that had been listening, waiting for someone to speak those sacred words aloud after 5,000 years. Hours passed like minutes in the tomb's strange atmosphere. Time seemed to bend in ways that made no sense. When Jabari, one of the young assistants, went to check the entrance tunnel, he simply vanished. No screaming, no sound of struggle. One moment he was there, walking toward the passage. The next moment, only his footprints remained, pressed into the dust, leading directly into a solid wall. Omar rushed forward, almost scared, his hands shaking. There are heat signatures behind this wall, he said, his voice barely above a whisper, faint, but definitely there. Something warm, something living. The team worked frantically, searching for hidden mechanisms. Nia pressed against the wall where the footprints ended, and with a grinding sound of stone on stone, a section swung inward. Cold air rushed out, carrying the scent of ancient insects and something else, something sweet and decayed. Beyond lay a second chamber, hidden for millennia, untouched even by grave robbers, who had surely tried to plunder. This tomb over the centuries. The walls here were different, covered not in writing but in paintings. Brilliant colors preserved perfectly in the sealed darkness. But of Jabari there was no sign. Only his empty water bottle lay on the floor just beyond the threshold, abandoned. The hidden chamber stole their breath away. Covering the far wall was a colossal mural, painted with such incredible skill that it seemed almost alive. It showed a woman of stunning beauty, her skin painted to gleam like bronze flame, her eyes captured in gold leaf that reflected the torchlight like twin suns. She stood tall and regal, wearing robes that flowed around her like water frozen in time. In her hand she held a sphere of pure light, the same eye symbol they had seen throughout the tomb. At her feet, painted in reverent poses, knelt dozens of figures. Some were normal-sized humans, others were giants like the skeleton they had found. Beneath the magnificent painting, carved in deep letters that seemed to pulse with their own light, was a title, Queen Mandira, Keeper of the First Knowledge. Nia staggered backward as if struck. Her hand flew to her mouth. The others looked at her with concern, confused by her reaction. Dr. Nia, what's wrong? Omar asked. Her voice came out as barely a whisper. Nandira, that's my middle name. Nia Nandira Ase. My grandmother gave it to me. She said it had been passed down through our family for generations, since before anyone could remember. She said it meant she who remembers. The symbol on her palm burned brighter. Omar worked feverishly to photograph and translate the inscriptions. Surrounding the magnificent mural, his translations grew more disturbing with each line he decoded. Finally, he turned to Nia, his face ashen with fear. There's a warning here, he said quietly. It says, when her bloodline returns, the Watchers will stir again. Before Nia could respond, her hand caught on a sharp edge of the golden frame. She hissed in pain as blood welled from the cut, bright red against her brown skin. A single drop fell, seeming to hang in the air for an impossible moment, before splashing against the painted feet of Queen Nandira. The chamber exploded with light. The walls trembled violently. Sand began pouring from cracks in the ceiling like rain. The painted eyes of the queen blazed with golden fire, and her mouth, frozen in pain for 5,000 years, seemed to curve into a smile. Then came the voice. It filled the chamber from everywhere and nowhere at once, feminine, ancient, speaking in a language Nia somehow understood in her very bones. Daughter of the sand, you have awakened the memory of the world. The torches turned from amber to brilliant blue. Omar collapsed to the floor, unconscious. The other workers fled, screaming toward the entrance, their footsteps echoing through the stone corridors, leaving Nia alone. Nia stood frozen before the glowing mural, unable to look away from those burning golden eyes. The symbol on her palm blazed with the same fire, spreading across her skin in intricate patterns that matched the queen's painted robes. The walls continued to tremble. Sand poured from the ceiling like a waterfall, gathering in piles around her feet. The voice spoke again, calm and ancient, filled with sorrow and wisdom. Daughter of the sand, you have awakened the memory of the world. You carry my blood in your veins. You carry the truth in your heart. Nia's voice shook as she spoke to the impossible vision before her. What are you? What is this place? I am what remains, the queen replied. I am memory given form. I'm warning given voice. And you are the one foretold. The keeper returned. Outside the chamber, Omar regained consciousness and stumbled toward the camp. His mind raced with images of what he had witnessed. This discovery was beyond anything science was ready to accept. But more than fear or wonder, he felt something else growing in his heart. Greed? He pulled out his satellite phone with trembling fingers and dialed a number he had been given months ago. A number he was told to call only in case of extraordinary discovery. Lord Khan's private line. Omar's voice was urgent as he spoke into the phone. You need to come immediately. We've found it. Everything you hoped for and more. But there's a problem. Dr. Ase has become unstable. She's destroying evidence, claiming voices speak to her. We need to secure the site. It was a lie. But Omar told himself it was necessary. For science. For humanity. For his own future. Within 24 hours, Lord Khan's helicopter thundered over the dunes. Armed officials descended like locusts, surrounding the excavation site. They wore no insignia, answered to no government anyone recognized. Mia emerged from the tomb at dawn to find her camp overrun. Men in tactical gear seized her notes, her photographs, her carefully documented samples. They treated her not as the expedition leader, but as a criminal caught in an act of theft. "You're relieved of duty, Dr. Asset," a cold voice said. "This site is now under private authority." They drove her from her own discovery at gunpoint, loading her few belongings into a jeep. But Mia had learned long ago to trust her instincts. Hidden beneath her clothes, pressed against her skin, was the glowing crystal tablet she had found on the altar floor. It pulsed warmly against her chest, alive and aware. They could, that night, alone in a small tent miles from the site. Mia studied the crystal tablet by candlelight. As she turned it in her hands, it suddenly flickered to life. Light projected upward, forming images in the air like a hologram from science fiction. She saw a golden city floating on crystal clear water, buildings that touched the clouds, gardens that seemed to defy gravity. People walked the streets, both giants and regular-sized humans, living together in harmony. Flying machines glided silently between towers. Children played in streets paved with precious stones. Then the vision changed. The sky darkened. The earth split apart. Walls of water rose higher than mountains, swallowing everything. The beautiful city collapsed into flame and chaos. Through it all, the queen stood weeping over a man whose shadow burned across the ground like acid. The queen's voice whispered from the crystal, filling Mia's tent with ancient sorrow. "He was my brother, my twin, born of the same moon, blessed with the same gifts. I loved him more than the sun loves the dawn." She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice broke with grief. But his greed ended the sky. Mia watched, transfixed, as the vision showed her the truth of what had destroyed an ancient civilization, a truth that echoed across 5,000 years. The next morning, the thunder of helicopter blades shattered the desert silence. Lord Econ had arrived, and with him came an army of workers and equipment. He was tall with sharp features, expensively dressed despite the heat, his eyes cold and calculating. He strode into Mia's camp and demanded she reveal everything she knew. When she refused, he smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Dr. Alce, I own this excavation. I own the land it sits on. Everything belongs to me." He pulled aside his collar, revealing a pendant hanging from a golden chain. Mia's blood turned to ice. The pendant bore the symbol of the seven-starred eye. "That's impossible," she whispered. "That symbol is 5,000 years old. Older," he replied. "My family has guarded its secrets for 100 generations. Now take me inside." As he spoke, the symbol on Mia's palm began to burn. The temperature dropped suddenly. From somewhere far away, carried on a wind that shouldn't exist, came the queen's voice. "He carries my brother's soul." Mia had no choice. With guns in her bag, she led Lord Econ into the tomb. The moment he crossed the threshold, the torches flared brighter. The air hummed with tension. His pendant glowed with the same blue light as the ceiling stars. Econ moved through the chambers with the confidence of someone who had seen them in dreams. His hands traced the carvings reverently. His eyes gleamed with hunger. "This is proof that humanity once touched the divine," he said. "That we had power modern science can't imagine, and it can be ours again." "The warning," Mia began, but he cut her off with a harsh laugh. "Warnings were written by cowards, by people too weak to handle true power. My ancestor knew better." He reached for the stars. They arrived at the inner sanctum where the queen's mural blazed on the wall. Econ approached the altar where the scroll still lay, untouched since Mia had read it. She tried to stop him, but his guards held her back. "Don't touch it," she screamed. "You don't understand." But greed had made him deaf to reason. His fingers closed around the ancient scroll, and golden light exploded from it the instant his skin made contact. He screamed, but instead of dropping it, his fingers clenched tighter. The light burned his hands, smoke rising from his flesh. The queen's image materialized above the altar, no longer paint, but a towering figure of pure energy. Her eyes blaze with sorrow and fury. Greed repeats the circle, she said, her voice shaking the wall. The tomb began to shake violently. Cracks spider-webbed across the ceiling. Ekan finally released the scroll and stumbled backward. His hands blackened and blistered, but madness had taken him completely. He pulled a gun from his belt and fired at the queen's apparition. The bullets disintegrated in midair, turning to dust before they could reach her glowing form. "I will not be denied," he roared. "This power is mine by right. Your bloodline is cursed," he replied, her voice cold as death. "As mine is blessed, you are the destroyer returned." The ceiling split open with a sound like the world breaking, but instead of daylight, they saw a sky that shouldn't exist. It swirled red and black, filled with storm clouds and lightning that struck upward instead of down. Ekan's guards fled in terror. He tried to follow, but the sand outside had come alive. It rose in waves like an ocean, swirling and churning with impossible force. He made it 3 steps beyond the entrance before the sand swallowed him whole. Nia watched in horror as it pulled him under, his screams cut short. When the sand settled seconds later, only his pendant remained on the surface. Its light finally extinguished. The desert fell silent once more, as if nothing had happened. The queen turned to Nia, her form beginning to fade like mist in sunlight. "Now you understand," she said softly. "Now you see why the truth was buried." Images filled the air around them. Nia saw the memory of the old world. Giants walking among humans in peace. Flying machines gliding across oceans. Energy harnessed from the stars themselves. A golden age of wisdom and wonder. Then came the betrayal. The queen's brother, consumed by ambition, unleashed fire from heaven, a machine meant to harness unlimited power that instead tore reality apart. The earth split, oceans consumed cities. Millions died in a single day tonight. Those who survived sealed the truth in the desert, the queen said, her voice heavy with ancient grief. So mankind would never again worship power over wisdom. Nia fell to her knees before the fading apparition. "If my blood awakened you, tell me what must I do?" The queen's image grew fainter, her voice becoming a whisper. "Guard the truth, hide it again, for the watchers will come when man forgets humility." Suddenly, sirens wailed in the distance. Government forces were approaching, drawn by reports of explosions and strange lights in the desert. Nia had only moments to decide what to do next. The entrance to the tomb collapsed as explosions echoed across the dunes. Someone had given the order to bury the site completely. Nia ran through crumbling corridors, touching the crystal tablet and one stone disc covered in stardust. Everything else would have to stay. The giant skeleton, the scroll, the tablets of ancient knowledge, all of it buried again beneath tons of sand and stone. Just as the queen had been buried 5,000 years before, Nia squeezed through a narrow side passage she had noticed earlier, crawling through gaps barely wide enough for her body. Behind her, the sounds of destruction grew louder. The ancient tomb was being erased, hidden once more from the world. She emerged a mile away, exhausted and bleeding from a dozen cuts. Looking back, she saw only empty desert. The tomb had vanished as if it had never existed. Within a week, official government reports declared the entire expedition a hoax. They claimed Nia had fabricated everything for fame and grant money. All footage was confiscated and labeled fraudulent. The workers who had been there were paid to sign. Non-disclosure agreements are threatened into silence. Nia disappeared, becoming a ghost, traveling from city to city with only her two stolen artifacts and the terrible truth burning in her heart. She knew what she carried could change the world or destroy it. 3 weeks after the tomb's destruction, encrypted files began appearing on archaeological forums across the internet. Someone was leaking evidence. Photographs of the giant skeleton with its surgically modified skull, clear and undeniable. Images of the star maps showing impossible knowledge. Pictures of the ancient scroll. Expert analysis confirmed what Nia had claimed. Carbon dating placed the artifacts at 3000 BCE. Linguists verified the ancient script was authentic. Astronomers confirmed the star chart's accuracy. The story spread like wildfire across social media. News sites picked it up. Documentary filmmakers flew to Africa. For 3 glorious days, the world buzzed with revelation. Human history was far older, far stranger than anyone had believed. Then, overnight, everything disappeared. Websites went offline without explanation. News articles were retracted. The experts who had verified the evidence suddenly claimed they had been mistaken or analyzing fraudulent data. Social media accounts that had shared the images were suspended or deleted. One by one, researchers who had spoken publicly about the discovery either recanted their statements or simply vanished from public view. Within a month, it was as if the story had never existed. Only one message remained, posted anonymously before the internet was scrubbed clean. They don't want you to know what was inside. Then even that was gone. Months passed. The world moved on to other sensations, other scandals. The story became an internet legend, something people argued about late at night but could never quite prove. But in the desert, strange things began to happen. Nomads traveling the old trade routes reported seeing lights in the dunes at night. Blue lights that moved in patterns, forming symbols in the sand. The same 7-starred eye that had decorated the ancient tomb. One brave group of travelers followed the lights one moonless night. They walked for hours, guided by the eerie glow, until they stood before a small opening in the sand. It looked freshly exposed, as if something had pushed up from below. The nomads peered inside and saw steps leading down into darkness. Carved on the first step were words in multiple languages, ancient and modern, all saying the same thing. Second warning, turn back. But curiosity is humanity's oldest companion. 3 of the nomads descended, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. What they found made them wish they had heeded the warning. A small chamber, perfect and untouched by time. And on its wall, an inscription that had been added centuries after the original tomb was sealed. Fresh somehow, as if written yesterday, though the stone dated back thousands of years. The nomads brought scholars to see the inscription. It was photographed, translated, debated. Unlike the previous evidence, this couldn't be easily dismissed. The site was too remote, too recently discovered. Hundreds of witnesses confirmed its existence before anyone could bury it again. The inscription was short but chilling. They came back. They're still watching. They're waiting. Below those words was a date, carved in ancient numerals that matched multiple calendar systems. When converted to the modern calendar, it pointed to a time exactly 500 years after the original tomb was sealed. Someone or something had returned half a millennium after the Queen's burial, long enough to leave this message before vanishing again into legend. Mia heard about the discovery while hiding in Morocco. She traveled to the site in secret, wearing a disguise, staying in the shadows. When she saw the inscription, tears rolled down her cheeks. She understood what others did not. This wasn't about the past. It was about the future. The pattern was clear. 500 years between the first sealing and the second message. 5,000 years since then. If the entity's power grew with each resurrection, if the cycle continued, the next return was imminent. The mathematics couldn't lie. And this time, it wouldn't just leave a message. This time, it would awaken fully. Night falls over the Sahara once more, my dear audience. The sand shifts in patterns only the wind knows. But listen carefully, for the story does not end with Mia's discovery or the tomb's burial. In the months that followed, Mia spent every waking hour researching, following threads of ancient legends across Africa. She found whispers of the story everywhere, hidden in folk tales passed down through generations. The tale of twin giants, one wise and one hungry. The tale of a queen who wept for her fallen people. The tale of cities that flew and fell. Every culture had a version. The details changed. The names shifted with language and time, but the core remained the same. And in each version there was a prophecy. When the blood of the keeper meets the blood of the destroyer again, when the stars align in the pattern of 7, the ancient war will resume. Mia checked astronomical charts with shaking hands. The 7 stars of the eye constellation would align perfectly and exactly 3 years, and if Econ truly carried the brother's essence, if his death had simply freed it to find a new host, she began receiving messages, anonymous emails, unsigned letters left at her hotel rooms. Each one contained fragments of the ancient language, pieces of a puzzle someone wanted her to solve, or perhaps a trap. The messages continued for months, each one more cryptic than the last. They spoke of watchers who never died, of knowledge sealed in places humans had forgotten, of a choice that would determine humanity's future. The final message arrived on the winter solstice. It contained GPS coordinates deep in the Sahara and a simple instruction. Come along! The watchers are ready. The choice must be made. Mia knew it could be a trap, but she also knew she couldn't hide forever. The crystal tablet and stone wrist had become her constant companions, glowing softly at night, whispering secrets in that ancient language she was slowly learning to understand. She traveled by camel to the coordinates, alone except for a guide who left her at the edge of the indicated zone. The old ones say this place is hungry, he warned. It eats those who come seeking answers. Mia continued on foot, carrying only water, supplies, and 2 artifacts. The desert stretched endlessly in all directions, empty and silent. But as the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of blood and gold, she saw them. 7 massive stones arranged in a perfect circle, each carved with stars, and in the center, a figure dressed in robes that shifted between solid cloth and pure light. The queen, waiting, you came, the queen said, and her voice carried both joy and sorrow. I knew you would. The blood always remembers. You're real, Mia whispered, hardly believing what she saw. All this time I thought you were just energy and recording left behind. I am both, the queen replied. I am the last echo of what I was, preserved by knowledge your world calls memory. I have waited 5,000 years for my bloodline to return. For you. Around them, other figures began to materialize, tall forms glowing with soft light, neither fully solid nor fully spirit. The Watchers, the survivors of the ancient civilization, preserved somehow between life and death. Waiting through the millennia, we have guarded the truth, one of them said. We have hidden the knowledge that destroyed our world, but humanity reaches for the same power again, different forms. They split atoms, they manipulate genes, they build machines that think, the same duplex in your clothing. The queen stepped forward, her form becoming more solid. You stand where I once stood, facing the same choice that destroyed my world. The knowledge sleeps in the sand, the power waits to be reclaimed. What will you do with the truth you carry? Mia looked at the crystal tablet in her hands, feeling its warmth, its light. What are you asking me? The queen gestured, and visions filled the air around her. Mia saw the modern world, cities sprawling across continents, technology advancing at breathtaking speed, humanity reaching for the stars once more, and she saw the dangers lurking beneath the progress. Climate collapse, nuclear weapons, artificial intelligence beyond human control, genetic engineering without wisdom. The same ambition that had doomed the ancient civilization, wearing new faces, speaking new languages, but driven by the same hunger for power without understanding. We hid the truth to protect the future, the queen said. But hiding it has not stopped humanity's hunger. They reach for power they don't understand, power they're not ready to wield. Soon they will find it, with or without our temples. The question is, will they have wisdom to temper their ambition? What do you want from me? Mia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. A choice, the queen replied. Let the tomb stay buried. Let humanity stumble blind toward either transcendence or destruction, or reveal the truth, share the warnings we left, and hope they listen. Both paths are dangerous. Both could end in tragedy. But one path at least offers the chance of wisdom. The Watchers stood silent, waiting. The desert stretched endlessly around them. The 7 stars began to appear in the darkening sky above, aligning in their ancient pattern, and Mia held the weight of 5,000 years in her hands. Mia stood in that sacred circle as night fell completely over the desert. The 7 stars blaze overhead, forming the eye pattern that had haunted her dreams since the tomb's discovery. The crystal tablet pulsed in her hands, warm and alive, waiting for her decision. She thought of her grandmother, who had given her the name Nandira without knowing why. She thought of the workers who had fled screaming from the tomb. She thought of Lord Ekan, consumed by greed, swallowed by the desert. She thought of humanity, brilliant and flawed, reaching always for more, never satisfied with enough. I need time, she said finally. This choice is too great for one person, too important to rush. The queen smiled sadly. Time is what we give you, but know this, daughter of my blood. The cycle turns whether we will it or not. The destroyer's essence searches for a new host. The stars align. Ready or not, the ancient war resumes. The queen and the watchers begin to fade like mist. We will watch. We will wait. And when you are ready to choose, we will hear you. Speak your decision to the wind, and we will know. Then they were gone. Mia stood alone under the stars. She looked at the artifacts in her hands one last time before tucking them safely away. Then she began the long walk back to civilization, carrying secrets that could save the world unhindered. But that choice is not mine to tell. Some secrets must remain buried a while longer, and as the wind whispers across the dunes, somewhere far away, a child is born with a glowing mark on her palm. The cycle continues. The watchers wait. The sand remembers everything, and so the story sleeps until the time comes to wake it once more.